Hey team, today we're gonna make a red pepper coulis. A coulis is a modern sauce and is referred to a sauce that is a puree of a fruit or a vegetable. It's fairly thin in consistency when we're talking sauces, and sometimes has an addition of cream and sometimes it doesn't. Your recipe calls for fire roasting your vegetable or fire roasting your peppers and then peeling them and then making the sauce with it. I understand some people don't have a gas stove, so if you have a gas stove and you want to fire roast them, go for it. Go ahead and char them in the outside, put them in a bag or put them in a bowl and wrap it with Ziploc or wrap it with plastic really tight. Let them sit until they're cool enough to handle, and then peel them, preferably not running them under hot water, and then go on with the recipe and make the sauce that way. I find it that the idea here is to keep the peels from the pepper out of the way, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do that by straining it at the end. So I'm making the sauce a little bit different, as I have an induction burner here, so I'm not going to be able to fire roast my peppers here. Some people, I mean, if you want to put them in the oven and roast them, go for it. I think it's going to make the same sauce if we make it this way. Okay, I have olive oil. I have mine in a squeeze bottle, but you got a little container of olive oil. I have my shallot, and I have my peppers, and I cut my peppers a little bit bigger than large dice, about an inch cube, and then I have a half a cup of stock. This is leftover chicken stock from last week. If you don't have any leftover stock, feel free to use water. It works perfectly fine. And the idea behind what we're going to do today for this sauce is we're going to cook the peppers nice and soft at a medium heat for a longer period of time. And the idea is that we're going to soften the pepper as much as possible without giving it a lot of color. And then we'll introduce the shallots in there about halfway in the cooking process. And then after we do that, we'll go ahead and puree it, and then we'll pass it through a strainer and season it properly. Okay, so fairly easy. The goal here will be to take our peppers and put them in our pan. And like I said, you don't want too high of a heat. Medium heat works just fine. And we're gonna cook this for about, I say 30 minutes. And the goal is not to get much color on them, okay? So I'm gonna put my olive oil in here, turn this down. And then I'm going to stay with them and continue moving them. Do you have to move them constantly? Not really, but every couple of minutes it's nice to move them, so that way you don't get any, you don't get a bunch of color on them. We want the sauce to be super bright and red, so that's why we're trying to keep the peppers from browning. Okay, and what this is gonna do is that the skin will wilt, and then we will be able to puree it. The peppers will get really soft and start breaking apart, and then we'll puree it. I have my immersion blender here. If you have a blender at home, it'll be much smoother, which means it'll be much easier when you strain it. If you have a stick blender, sometimes it gives us a little bit of a hard time, but if we blend it enough, we should end up with a fairly nice coulis, one that looks and has the consistency of tomato sauce. Okay, so we'll continue on cooking these for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then I'll show you what they look like. I'm actually going to show you about halfway through the process, and we'll add the shallots, and then we'll continue cooking them, and then when we're ready, we'll add the stock, and then we'll puree it. Okay, so you know. Hey guys, my peppers have been cooking for about, say, 15 to 18 minutes. Notice that they're still red, but they're getting soft. The skins are starting to shrivel a little bit. the oil in my pan is red from the peppers. Okay, and at this point we're gonna add the shallots. But before we move forward, when I started the video, I did not mention the wine. You should have a cup of white wine in your kit, and only half is for this. The other half is for the beurre blanc. Okay, but at this point my peppers are starting to get soft. My oil is red. The skins are starting to shrivel. They're getting a little bit of color from the pan. And now I have my shallot, which I just sliced. I did not mince it because we're gonna puree this, so it doesn't quite matter. And we're going to add the shallot and continue cooking for another about 15 minutes, 15 to 20 more minutes. We're gonna cook it nice, medium low. Continue moving them so they don't get too brown, and they should be really soft by the time we get there. So I'll see you in about 15 to 18 minutes. Hey guys, it's been about 35 minutes altogether. I've been working with these peppers. At this point, they have completely collapsed. They're super soft. The same with my shallots. They're very soft. The liquid or the oil in my pan is fairly red. And I've been keeping them nice and low. I had it on medium heat in about 25 minutes time. So on the last like 10 minutes, they've been on low heat. Okay, so now that our peppers are nice and soft, we're ready to continue with our sauce. So the next step is bring up the heat. And once the heat comes up, we're going to deglaze with half of our white wine. And immediately after that, we're going to add our chicken stock. Alright, here we go. This is hot enough. Half of my wine is in. I have it on high heat now, and I'm going to cook this au sec or almost dry. So this is also going to help the peppers get even softer. Your liquid should start turning red as well, your wine, while it's in here. Okay, and this is going to help cook your peppers. It's just gonna take a couple of minutes. Make sure this gives you a good time. If you don't have your strainer and whisk in place, make sure you get that in place, because we're going to need that fairly soon. Got my whole setup right here. You want to make sure while the wine is reducing that you shake your pan and kind of even out all the peppers to make sure that they're either submerged or somewhat submerged in the wine. That way they're all working on getting soft. And we'll know that it's reduced enough when we hear it sizzle again. Alright, we're sizzling again, and now is a good time to add our chicken stock. Chicken stock came in, I turned it down to low, and now I have my immersion blender, and I'm going to tilt all of it towards one side of my pan, and I'm going to start on low and try to puree all of this mixture. While you're doing this, you might have to move the peppers around and go up and down with your immersion blender. If you have a regular blender, you're just gonna put the whole mixture in your blender and start on low, and then slowly work your way up. Looking much better. It's chunky, but it's still looking much better. And now I can go onto high and try to get it nice as smooth as I can. At this point, your sauce should look like it has red little specks, and that's perfectly fine. That's exactly what we're looking for. Okay, that's just the skin, but we're gonna remove that here in just a second. So I have my strainer and my bowl, and I'm going to bring all the sauce out of the way, and then we're going to whisk it through and make sure you get as much sauce as possible through the strainer. For this sauce, it's always good to have something like a spatula or even the spoon that I was using before, and just push through as much as you can from this, okay? Just push, push, push. Get as much sauce as possible. Alright, we have a nice super smooth sauce here. See, it has some nice movement. It's not thin, it's not thick like a tomato sauce, not as thick as tomato sauce, a little bit thinner, but it has a nice consistency. Okay, at this point, all we have left is to season. All we have left at this point is to taste it and season it. So We're gonna go ahead and have a little taste. We definitely need some salt. In this sauce, you could use white pepper if you wanted to and you didn't want it to show. If you don't want any of the black dots, or you can just put a little bit of pepper on it. Most people will put a little white pepper in here, but you could go either or. I actually just like putting salt in it. I don't think pepper belongs here. One more taste. Yep, delicious. You should be able to taste the pepper flavor, a little bit of savory. I end up with the sweet note of the pepper. Okay, our consistency on our sauce is some. Trying to see if you can see the movement of the sauce on the bowl. It pours nicely, right? We look at the back of the spoon and notice that it's although it has a nice consistency, you can still see a little bit of red dots in there. This could easily go through a chinois or a little cheesecloth if you wanted to refine it even more. I believe that this sauce is a little bit more rustic, so this is the perfect texture for it. But you can do lots of things with red pepper coulis. You could replace tomato sauce. Like here at my house, my wife's allergic to tomatoes, so we always make coulis if we're gonna make spaghettis or lasagnas or that kind of thing. You can use it to for grilled chicken. You can make it as the base of a pepper soup. There's many things that you can do with this. You could braise chicken on this. That'd be really delicious. Obviously, we would add more stock and then put this in there, and this will give body to the braising liquid. But yeah, there's many things that you can do with red pepper coulis.